easiest way for me to describe it is Iron Chef for Designers, which is basically pitting two designers head to head in a 30-minute challenge for them to design a website.
Josh Lowe, civil engineer turned web designer turned creator of an entirely new genre of competitive entertainment. He built the Design Arena, the world's first live head-to-head design competition. He's here to reveal what happens when you have the courage to be seen.
It became bigger than your name. Your name wasn't attached to the arena. Tell me a little bit about the idea behind, like, why did you kind of go esports for web designers? Like, that's a very new thing.
It started a few years after I switched careers into tech, and I loved CrossFit as well. I've always thought, like, what if we could make some type of CrossFit training, but for digital design skills?
How did it come to fruition?
I pitched the idea. We had 4 streams, and the last stream, we just said, hey, let's just do this competition thing. And so it was really basic, just went off. People loved it. So we did a 4-match tournament, and that went really well. And then a few months later, we did a whole 8-match tournament, and we got sponsors. By that time, some of the clips went viral.
You mentioned taste. With the world that we're in now, where AI is almost like replacing all of the people doing some of the work, how important is taste when it comes to design?
Taste is... What's up?
Travel halfway around the world to see you.
Yeah.
Fun. Welcome to the Philippines.
This is fantastic.
Of course it is.
My first time.
First time?
Yeah. First 10 hours. It's been good so far.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Got my Jollibee
Into some good Jollibee. Not my favorite spot. Get you some good lechon.
Okay.
You'll be in a good spot.
Yeah.
Get you a good mango shake. Life will change.
Sounds good. As long as I don't touch Baloo, I'm good.
I think he needs it.
No, I don't know.
Right? Absolutely.
That beak in your mouth?
Listen, you said it. Pause. You said it. Oh my goodness, that ain't my jam. Josh, thanks so much for coming. You're here, obviously.
Pleasure.
To get our event. And one of the things that I have a lot of pride in is sharing the special people in my life that have these really hidden talents and bringing them out to the world. Like, I'm really good at, putting people on because they have helped me. And I've been able to build like a team of Avengers around me in so many different areas of my life, mainly on the performance side at the Olympic and pro level. But when it came to business, it was the same thing. I was like, how do I find the best people in these individual arenas and bring them into my world so that when we go out to the world and compete, we know how to win. And we have this massive competitive advantage. So, ironically, how we met is such a fascinating story, right? Like, I met you through like a Daniel Priestley call to get on there, Mike, and we're having a chat. I was just in Italy with Daniel and stuff, which is kind of really cool. And I know one of your mentors is good friends with Daniel, Chris, and it's somebody who I've spent, time looking up to and learning from. He's kind of doesn't age, but he's been in the space for a long time. But it's kind of cool, like how we came to know each other. But more importantly, for people that don't know you, who is Josh?
I am from Vancouver, Canada. My background is actually in civil engineering. Did that for 7 years. And then just decided I was just burnt out and decided to do a career shift into tech. So I got into web design, UX design, designing apps, and got into Webflow. And then a few years in the pandemic, everyone was doing podcasts. So I learned a bit of podcast production and then live streaming. And I helped out my church at for live stream setups. And then
much needed too, because we needed to kind of run a hybrid model for sure.
Yeah, and so I slowly got into content creation through live stream production. And so
in the church specifically?
That's how I learned the technical skills.
Yep.
And then I applied it to web design and started making content for Reloom, and then eventually started working at Webflow, and now I'm running my own thing at the Digital Third.
Yeah, so the Digital Third, one of the biggest products that you have is the thing that I think is fascinating. That's how I when I met you, I didn't know that's what you did.
Right.
So like I knew these two things. I meet you as the person like that, got a good vibe, good energy. But then this other thing, I had no idea that you were associated with it.
Yeah.
Because it became bigger than your name. Your name wasn't attached to the arena. Tell me a little bit about the idea behind, like, why did you kind of go esports for web designers? Like, that's a very new thing. And for those that don't know what it is, I kind of call it like the March Madness of like developers and designers. That's the way I think about it. But walk me through like what it is, the thinking behind it. I've never seen it before.
You want the origin story?
Yeah, I don't know the origin story other than I was a fan of this product and then I became a fan of you, and then we became friends. Then you came out to my mastermind, and obviously that's the story for those that don't know. But I knew your end product before I knew who you were.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met you, but you didn't actually talk about you doing this. And then finally those worlds collide for me, and you connect the dots, and you're like, hey, he is pretty cool. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, it started a few years after I switched careers into tech. I did a boot camp training, and I loved CrossFit as well. And I've always thought, like, what if we could make some type of CrossFit training, but for digital design skills? And so
Most devs don't do a lot of gym stuff.
no,
Jam.
exactly. And I think that's the value when you bring in two desperate categories or industries and you bring them together. There's something in that mixing that is unique to both realms.
When you say desperate, what does that mean?
Disparate, sorry.
Oh, yeah. It's just I'm new to me, you know?
Two totally different areas that aren't linked. And so I thought, okay, so I've been thinking of ways like how do I create some online training program? I've been chewing on that idea. And then I love how Iron Chef is done. So you call it March Madness.
That's an
the easiest way for me to describe it is Iron Chef for designers.
Oh, I love it.
Which is basically pitting two designers head to head in a 30-minute challenge for them to design a website. And so just like for Iron Chef, there's unique ingredients for each match. So each match has a unique theme, whether it's luxury design for watches or sports or skincare. So we kind of do that. And so I had that idea, and I pitched it to Reloom as a contractor. And this is the thing. I think I was able to leverage another brand for me to get my name out there.
Sure.
And so I was honing my skills, and I'm more used to being behind the camera, or behind the screen in this case. And so now I feel like I'm starting my brand. I need to put myself out there, like you said. And so,
is it uncomfortable for you?
No, I'm getting used to it. It's a new muscle. I'm used to having like a teleprompter and hiding behind like the comfort of a screen. But now
teleprompter would mess me up. If I had to like read publicly on screen, that would be horrible. I'll tell you a funny story. So when my son was first born and he was young and I would read to him at night, Tanya walks by his room, and my wife is very intelligent. Like when we talk about like people on the spectrum, she's on the high level of the spectrum academically and intellectually. And reading and learning is not really hard for her. Kind of like sports, I'm able to pick them up easily. Let's just say academically, she picks that up quite easily.
Okay.
But I'm reading to Thomas. He's like a 1-year-old. And she walks by the room and she goes, "Is that how you read?" And I go, "Oh, hell no. I closed the book, did not read to Thomas ever again." Oh, no. You just got this job for the rest of his life. I am not going to do that, because reading publicly, no chance. You ask me to speak on a subject, I could do it. But
why is that?
So I'm severely dyslexic. When I was younger, my parents thought I had, they thought I was blind.
Okay.
Because all of the academic tests would come back as like I was mixing things, I couldn't see it. Going to get me tested with my eyes, and I had 20/10 vision on my left.
Okay.
And I'm like, great vision. I never had a problem with that. But when I first got my eye test done, they're like, "Oh, you have problems seeing or whatever," because of the way the scores came back. I was given glasses when I was younger. I was in 2nd grade, and I remember I fell down the stairs, and I said, "I don't want to wear them. I don't want to wear them. I don't want to wear them." And you know, when your parents don't have the money to be able to pay for that, and that's a big commitment, you do it. And I'm like, "Wear your glasses. You'll get used to them." And I would fall down the stairs. I'm a pretty athletic fat kid at the time, but I'm a pretty athletic guy. I'm falling on the stairs. I mean, I could pick up any sport. Even in 2nd grade, I was always a kid that was doing a bunch of stuff, but I would trip and fall. And it was like, I had no depth perception because the glasses would mess me up.
Okay.
Come to find out, I'm not blind. I went and did a bunch of vision training, which actually helped with my reaction time, made me better at sports, ironically. Come to find out, I'm severely dyslexic. I see things and things move really all around.
Oh, interesting.
And so when I was reading stuff, I actually didn't get really good at reading until I met a friend of mine, Jim Quick, who's a speed reading coach. And he's like, "You need to read fast."
Okay.
because your brain is processing fast, but you're seeing things and then you're asking it to slow down because you can't pick up on everything. So the faster you read, the better you get at it. And so I met him and he helped me a lot. But prior to that, there's a way of reading when you take the actual main, letter in a word and you center it and then you read on that. So I read on that for years where it would just like run fast, and there's like manual ones and now they're digital ones, but there's apps for them.
Yeah.
And you could actually have like reading comprehension goes up when you read faster.
Okay.
Because when your brain is processing, imagine if I was talking to you at this speed. That's how my brain works when I'm reading as slow as I am. So I couldn't retain anything.
Yeah.
So he said, you got to learn how to read fast. So that's kind of how I picked it up. But
Okay.
I get ahead of myself a lot. And so one of the uncomfortable truths about doing things in public is reading for me. But it's a good skill.
Yeah.
One of those things that I don't necessarily want to train.
Okay.
You do like the hard things and you get in certain parts of your life, and I know that like I want to get better at that. Like I have no desire to get better at reading in public.
Yeah.
I'll get better at speaking in public.
Well, that's more useful.
Could be. So
That's where I need to level up.
you're used to being behind the teleprompter because you can read, unlike me. But you've been in a situation now where you're good at being like a producer, like a remote producer. You're getting people to show up really well. So let's go back to, what you did for Reloom.
Yeah.
And you created basically a design league for web developers and UI UX designers. It's a really cool idea, but like, how did it come to fruition?
So yeah, like I said, I pitched the idea. It was a pilot idea. We had 4 streams, and the last stream we just said, hey, let's just do this competition thing. And so it was really basic, and it just went off. People loved it. So I joined the team, and they just wanted to double down on it. So we did a 4-match tournament, and that went really well. And then a few months later, we did a whole 8-match tournament, and we got sponsors. By that time, some of the clips went viral.
Oh, it went nuts. Yeah, that's how I kind of caught wind of it. It was like, this is awesome. And I was getting my team involved, which now some of them you've developed inside the, the Design Gym and Digital Third.
Yeah.
But it's really cool for those that haven't seen it. It's, if you imagine this kind of like pressure cooker.
The time lapse.
You got to and then there's just this time lapse of 30 minutes and like blank slate, build a website in 30 minutes. Now, there's a lot of prep that happens behind the scenes that people don't know about. And I think for people that don't appreciate the work that goes into true web development and all of that, the scope, walk me through what's the prep like? Because people don't know for an amazing production like that, how prepared you have to be.
Just like a cooking show, you need to make sure all the ingredients are prepared and ready. And then when it's go time, the designers can just grab what they want and then let their creativity flow. And so my job was to set up like the assets, photography, the colors. The thing that we help them pick ahead of time is the typography, because like we all know people can take a whole hour just to pick one type. And so there are certain things that we figured out that we need to just curate and prepare.
What were the hangups? Because like typography being one of them.
Yeah.
Why was that such a hang up for people?
For them to choose like within half an hour, it's just it's a whole art in itself. I mean, if you learn typography alone, you'll know a lot of the principles of design. And so just to select typography within 30 minutes, it just takes too much time. What else?
The reason why I'm saying that is because I want people that are not used to dealing with people at a super high level, that to become a master of your craft, and to, like, you're not getting into Iron Chef unless you're already a master chef.
Yeah.
Because if you put just a regular person in there, and then those like fun cooking shows where they eliminate people, and you drop them into Iron Chef, you wouldn't get a great product.
Right.
But what's really incredible about Iron Chef is you have masters of their craft, and then like this ingredient that they have to turn it into.
Yeah.
So it's them having experience with probably that ingredient or something else that they could like turn it into so many different things. But you can't do that if you didn't have like a high level of understanding.
Yeah.
Same thing with designers is if you didn't have a good understanding for like typography, for taste, for, colors. I'm trying to figure out what are the bottlenecks of you kind of starting this, because I realize that a lot of people don't know like how much details go into something that looks so easy.
Yeah. Okay. So another bottleneck is the copywriting. So we would provide them with a wireframe, and that takes time too. So we provide them the wireframe. The thing about the whole competition, actually, it's a showcase of taste, of the designer's taste. So colors, they can reference that from the mood boards that we give them. And usually if it's like a picture, they can then grab like colors from like the background or the person's clothing and things like that. So that's quick to make decisions. Again, the things that take time is like typography, layout. Essentially, we're setting them up to, it's like composite, for them to put composition together really quickly. And so it boils down to their gut instinct on taste.
Got it.
And so those were the certain ingredients and elements that we had to prepare for them to set them up for success. It's not fake, but we just have to prepare certain elements so that when it's go time, they can just do it really quickly. And then it's entertaining to watch too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And most entertaining things need to have the work behind the work so that people could show up and do their best stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like it would have worked if the designers weren't at an elite level?
No, because they could get stuck and just fidget around, move some rectangles, this and that. And so, in fact, there were some designers who were like top elite levels and they fumbled a lot. And that was kind of like awkward to see. So
Because
those,
it's a pressure test, right?
yeah. So there's that. There's like the test of your actual design eye, but then also the pressure. Like people, they're sitting at their desk, but they're getting sweaty palms. So they're physically going through some emotional, physiological change, which is pretty amazing.
Do you see that a lot in the design engineering space, be almost like mental or design athletes? Because obviously
Zero.
pressure in the world that I'm in, that's all I live in.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, it's like, hey, let's go. What I love being in environments that have skin in the game. Like at the place that I'm in as a coach, I don't like to work with people that don't have high skin in the game. And I don't like to worry about people that don't have high stakes.
Right.
So not that I don't care about youth sports and development, which I really care a lot about that, but where I'm going to be able to spend my time is in the area of at the Olympic level and pro level, because the risks are so high and the impact to being an elite athlete or an Olympian and getting on a podium, like the stakes are so high.
Mm-hmm.
I like that pressure. That's what makes it fun for me. But we're working with people that are already sound within the fundamentals.
Right.
How sound are the fundamentals from a design standpoint? Do they have?
Well, they have to know their layout, their color theory. The typography. Those are just the fundamentals, and then really it's just them having fun and mixing those variables around.
And did you feel like in the beginning, did you know it would work? Because it went viral. Did you know like this?
No idea. No idea.
Sports competition, but for, digital experts.
It was just a fun idea. And to this day, we're still experimenting.
Now there's no competition out there in the market because number one, like you own the actual IP around, the design gym, digital third, and the arena, which is this kind of like competition on like the newest softwares and designs. Where do you think it could go? Like this thing could go beyond just web development. Where else it could go based on with all the AI tools that are out there today?
Yeah, so this year I'm working towards showcasing vibe coding tools. It has to be very visual. So the trick that I'm trying to figure out now is usually you just enter a prompt and then you wait like 5 minutes. And so that's not fun to watch.
Sure.
So what adds the extra layer of entertainment is the commentators. And so, and having things to switch all the time. So I'm always conscious of, what the viewer is watching and how I can switch scenes. And so that's kind of what I do best, is making sure that there are different scenes for people to watch and get educated and entertained at the same time.
What are the lessons that you've learned taking a concept that's new and taking it to market from a business perspective?
I'm still figuring that out, to be honest.
That's good.
Yeah. The business realm is new for me. I think I come from a very technical approach. And so I like to hammer that down and then, making it more business viable. That's what I'm figuring out.
That's awesome. Now you mentioned taste.
Mm-hmm.
With the world that we're in now, where AI is almost like replacing all of the people doing some of the work, and the robots are doing it. How important is taste when it comes to design?
Taste is essentially comes down to judgment. It's your design eye, and you can't really train AI to do that. It's unique to the individual. And I mean, again, just like a cooking show, everyone has a different palate. And so if it's unique to the individual, it's hard for AI to replicate that. So I think that's why everyone's all talking about taste. So it comes down to judgment.
Now, you've been fortunate enough to be around mentors that, in my opinion, have some of the best design taste in the world, Christo. And, you know, I was joking earlier that he doesn't age, because it seems that way. It's like, I remember him like first getting on YouTube, I'm like, that guy hasn't changed at all. He must have shot all his videos for 10 years in one day and then just released them, because he has not aged at all. But you've had a chance to go fishing with him and go on a conference with him. What's it like working with somebody that, you know, you come at as an engineering background, but like on the design side, I would say that he is at the pinnacle of performance, right, in design. What does it mean to be able to work with somebody at that caliber, somebody at that mentor level? What does that mean to you that it's just kind of cracking, you know, into that space?
Well, he's won multiple Emmys. And he's been like a judge and panelist on all these, you know, design boards and things like that. So he's performed at the highest level. I'm still learning. What I'm really amazed by him is not only is he really good at the professional level of design, but also, again, I've seen him in a completely different realm of like fishing and fitness. And the guy works nonstop. Wakes up like 5 a.m. and goes hard. And he, you know, I've attended some of his full-time workshops, and he'll go all the way to like 9, 10 o'clock. And he just outputs so much and contributes. So that was really eye-opening for me. Like, he not only shows up just in the professional realm, but just in all fronts.
Now, I've seen him be able to interact with other people, especially like people that had first met him. They're at a workshop, they're at an event. Now, again, mind you, this is like from a different lens, because I'm watching through YouTube or watching through environments. And he doesn't really accept excuses, even from young people. He like really wants to find, like, is that true? What's bringing you, what making you think that? Hey, you should probably work on that.
Yeah.
You want help with that. And he like kind of pushes that kind of, you know, that victim mindset out of their, you know, out of their body, and gets rid of them so they can get going. Where were you stuck when you met him that he's helped you kind of with a little bit?
To be honest, I haven't received too much coaching. I'm just trying to buy myself, like get myself into the room. And like, I still see him as a really like high up, and I try not to ask him too many things. So he hasn't really called me out on a few things.
Why not? Like, why would you not take coaching from somebody who's at a high level?
I think, well, I know his time is really valuable, and so I try not to like ask and bother him too much. The few times you've seen me interact is basically on screen, and so I haven't really interacted too much personally.
You've interacted with him from a style standpoint, because you've obviously changed since I saw you last.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
So what was the shopping with the fashion icon in the design space like? Because you didn't dress like this when I met you.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me what that's like since you got to shop with him.
I just, well, he's been sharing some resources on like collections on fashion and stuff like that. So I'm just starting.
He's like a walking streetwear model.
Yes.
Even at his age. He's got that cool factor. I couldn't pull off half his stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of his influences is from Japan as well. So like tech wear. He's got like 3 or 4 different styles. But yeah, I'm still learning. I just watch and replicate from afar, and yeah, eventually I want to, you know, build up more of a relationship.
Now, you just came back from a trip with your family. You guys kind of went all over, but I saw you kind of testing out an idea of building your own apparel line. What's that all about?
Yeah, so there's a local supplier in Malaysia. Every time I go back there, I'd check out their brand, so I'd buy pieces. So I figured I'd just reach out to the founder. He was kind enough to bring me into a studio. So yeah, he does custom white label pieces. So we're gonna collab and do some designs, and that's a whole new field. But I'm really excited.
About it?
That. Yeah.
But you're interested in it?
Yeah.
You like testing these new things out, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of fun. What you know, Where do you think, with all the technology that we have with AI, the design aspect of things, like where are you trying to go? You know, if we had a fast track, where are you going to be in a year from now?
I think with my platform, with the arena, it's ultimately like a promotional platform. And so I want to be a spotlight to highlight top talent in these spaces and then highlight the top tools.
Mhm.
And just to just go from there. The whole space is accelerating so fast, it's hard to predict, but that's what I want to do right now.
Now, the cool part about, both, whether it be, the kind of Reloom Design League, what you guys did, like this kind of the arena, it's like a pressure test of the actual platform. So how
Right.
stressful is it we talked about how stressful it is to the actual designers. How stressful is it to the software?
Yeah.
That's not Google, that's not Apple, right? That doesn't have that infrastructure. How stressful is it to the software and to the business owner that is building these things and putting their software, kind of opening the Komodo, so to speak, of their quality of their platform? How stressful is it to them?
I can assume it's quite stressful because it's publicly shown. But most software companies, they love that. This is user testing. They do it all the time. They invest into it, but usually that's behind the scenes. That's private. So what we're doing is put it out in public, showcasing it like a show.
Yeah.
And so if it crashes or if there's, users or power users that get stuck, then it gets showcased in front of
Yeah,
people.
I mean, the really cool part about that is, like, I think that whenever it's almost like the Olympic level, where it takes the software and it takes the expert and it says, hey, we're going to put you on a spotlight platform, and it better work and you better perform.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then it doesn't work. So a lot of times people don't know what it's like to get the expert and the best tools, combine them together and see what magic you could make. Now, you've been able to make some really cool things, which is exciting. What were the message boards like? Because I started to see kind of like your brackets, and then people kind of beat the other guy like you were playing Mortal Kombat, and they kind of moved on along a line. Like, when you saw their face and move them over, like, did it get a little bit drama? Was there any talking? Was there any hype? Well, like, tell me. I don't know. I know what sports guys are like, but what are designers like? When it comes to competition.
Surprisingly, it hasn't been a lot of trash talk. It's been very friendly.
Sucks. That's not fun at all. These guys play Call of Duty and Fortnite and all these games. They will talk crap to me on the other end because I don't even know how to play Pac-Man. That's the one game I know how to play. I could crush Pac-Man, but I don't know how to play anything other than that. They would talk smack. But you're telling me they didn't bring that smack talk to their expertise?
Maybe their audience isn't that big enough.
Bad. I could shit talk on a sports field.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look.
Catch me a year later. We'll see.
Oh, man. So there was no, like...
No, they were just excited. Like, they didn't...
It wasn't like Call of Duty?
No. It was all positive, which is good. That's what you want, right?
Is it?
Yeah, it's early days. This is like a brand new genre. And so...
You really like nice church environment? I like them. I want to see the designers throw down, right? Because they can't fight.
Yeah.
Like, they can't fight, so at least they can, like, fight with their words and be like, I'll outcode you, man.
Nerds fighting, yeah.
So that's exactly what we should do.
Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, that's going to... I mean, we're already seeing that with the power of AI. You better be nice to them. I got 100 of them, so I'm going to be really nice to mine. They'll probably code robots to kill me.
Yeah.
So, but I'm surprised. I thought there would be a little bit more trash talking.
We'll see when it gets more popular. Yeah, I think it's a niche market. It's a niche market.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Anything you're excited about? Any, like, secret sauce that you're trying to, like, bring out to the table next?
I think I'm just excited to see how featuring vibe coders and AI tools will unfold, and the reactions. So, at this point, I'm just going to stick to the formula that I know, and we'll see how it goes. That's so cool. Yeah. Now, Digital Third being, like, your main company, and then there's different kind of products or IPs that you've built, like the arena that we talked about. You talked about, like, the design gym where you would train, designers to get to a certain level. Now, you built like a cohort. And my head designer was a part of it. One of our other kind of junior designers was able to be a part of it because you took people at different levels. Right. Ryan, being our head of design, kind of went in there, and I didn't know how to categorize him because to me, Ryan's like
the man.
Pretty good.
But see, the thing is, I was a little nervous. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to Josh Lowe. We gotta like, do I tell him that he's that good? Like, do I set Ryan up for failure? I'm like, I think Ryan's the man. I worked for Nike for 5 years. I think Ryan's at that level. So like, I put him in like he's a senior designer, but he's not at that next level. And then Ryan's quiet, and then I like put a junior designer in there that had like the work ethic to kind of learn. He jumps in there. They loved it. I got a chance to kind of watch some of the sessions that you guys put together, both on Instagram and other environments. And you had like everybody on like the Figma board working. Tell us what that's like, because I know my staff had a great experience, but I want to hear what it's like curating that environment with like some people that are at all different levels. Because you had some people that were the best, teaching people that they want to get really, really good, but they're just not there yet from an experience standpoint.
Right. So this is a product where it really promotes the name of the digital third, which is to create a digital third space. And so it's all about community learning and activation. So one of the problems that a lot of online designers experience is it's a very lonely field where there's the main designer in the company. And so for them to meet on a weekly basis, to learn from other people from all around the world, senior level, intermediate, junior, and then they can learn and watch other people design at the same time and get inspired in real time. I think that is very valuable. And then also just to, riff off the energy. Again, it's all digital, but it's a really unique experience, because usually what it is trying to do is disrupt the online education space, which is right now majority is just video courses.
Yeah, courses.
Just video,
self-taught, paced, managed on your own. The guys that are already good, they have a knack for it. They pick up things that way. Some people need like feedback. So like the feedback loop's good. What about the collaboration aspect? Because I just thought it was fascinating to get on Figma and watch. We do it now on a regular basis with prioritization and designs where people jump in on there, but I didn't even know that was kind of like a Fig Jam and like those things were possible. Having some of the best people, we've taken his course. I'm trying to remember his name, but he did like design, like UI UX design.
Okay.
What's his name? You know him. Come on.
Jesse Showalter, Gary Simon.
Okay. There's a course. We put our guys
design course.
We watched, but you brought people in there to train, and then like they're all in there working together. It's got to be pretty nerve-wracking for some of the younger developers, but I think it's really cool that they're all working together. They're watching other people press buttons, that you could see the activity and like what they kind of create all in their own space.
So it's like going to a digital yoga studio where the instructor is in the middle and they'll lead you through a design exercise step by step. So let's say it's a poster design or designing one page of a website. And so guide you through step by step, and then everyone just follows. So that's very guided structure, which is good. There's also an open-ended structure where you give you a prompt, here's some assets, and then you just go to town. And it's all within an hour.
I love that you've taken something that is so, like, it is baked into my DNA, competition, pressure, sports, and you've taken it from an engineer's side of things and turned it from UI UX designers, which is work we do now for businesses. And you've actually applied both of those principles together and leveraged it. Do you're here talking tomorrow, you're going to be on stage at CreatorCon presenting, and what's the topic of your presentation?
It's going to be the arena effect, the courage to be seen.
Very on brand.
Yeah.
Okay, you said the courage to be seen.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, and again, leading into that talk a little bit, do you feel as if people shy away from that? They don't want to be putting themselves out there?
It is so hard to find designers because they're naturally introverted to put them.
I know. I have a bunch of them on my team. Yes, I know. I'm very aware.
So I'd reach out to super talented. Yeah. So it's really hard for me to find them to even show up and compete.
It's a therapy session with us. We're talking, it's good.
And so I think to have the courage to step up and to be seen, to perform at scale is nerve-wracking. And so I want to, identify some of the fears behind that and just give them some solutions to step up.
Yeah, I think that will empower them a lot, which is really cool. Ryan, who's really quiet, he speaks with his design.
Right.
He really does. He's one that I've been very fortunate to be around some incredible designers. I love cool things. he may not be able to teach it, he may not be able to explain it, but boy, when you talk about taste and understanding, seeing things, I mean, fantastic. I remember like he was nervous going into that environment. It was hard because you were doing it both.
The design gym.
But yeah, I mean, it was, I think he had to wake up at like 2 or 3 in the
Yeah.
morning to kind of make it work. And I think he just had a baby.
Yes.
But it made it even harder.
So that guy
He never missed a beat. And I think part of it was like the fact that it was hard and he had to have like some level of like personal sacrifice. He had to kind of understand like he still had to show up for the family. He still had to show up for work, but then do that. And he was excited to learn. He was pumped.
You didn't make it mandatory for him. It was voluntary on his own.
The way that I work is that the minute you commit, you will finish. You're not going to quit.
Okay.
So my commitment to you is I'll put you in a position that you probably couldn't put yourself. It's the same thing I do with athletes as a coach. Is I'm going to, even if I am not the solution, I'm going to make sure that there's no stone left unturned. And how selfish of me as a leader in our company to have a friend like you. And not leverage that for the skill that is very, very important in my company. So selfishly, I need my best people to get better because if not, they're going to go somewhere else. And I've been very fortunate to where I've been able to take athletes from 8 years old to 18 to college to 28 to 30 to where they're now at the Olympic stage. I've been able to take kids from 8 years old to 18 to college to first round draft picks and see them through their careers. There's coaches that are really good at transitional windows. And then there's coaches that are really good at like pieces of time, right? I have the ability to have the developmental effect. It's one of the things that I'm strong at. I understand that I'm going to judge you today. I'm going to judge you tomorrow, but I'm really good at not letting my judgment of you today affect my belief of your performance and potential in the future. That I don't really care where you are right now. If you tell me where you want to go, my job is to basically, how do I make sure I leave no stone left unturned so you at least have the opportunity to take that choice to move forward? Because it's your decision. You may not have the talent, you may not have the work ethic to go with it, but I'm going to at least create the opportunity for you. If you don't take me up on that, that's on you. I would feel like I've done him a disservice to not put that pressure of commitment on him.
Yeah.
But I would also say that the first part of that is that introduction, because he was never going to get himself in that room.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to like get the right people in the room and then let them know the stakes are there, because it's my reputation. Like, I'm not going to introduce him. You know, you and I have a great relationship, but even then, I'm not going to introduce him to you and then him show, up to our business and our brand to you.
You got to represent sites at
Absolutely.
scale. I have to say, he went above and beyond. There were agency owners in the cohort, and they saw him. And he was sleep deprived. He was
He literally, I think they just had her baby, which is the best part.
And he still showed up, so I was shocked. So I gave him a shout out. And every session, people were like, "Who is this guy? This is so good." Because at the end, we would all go around.
Try to poach him. I'll break your knees, just so you know.
So that's what happened. So
exactly, yeah.
So that
as
was,
the FYI,
you stood out.
Yeah, as an FYI, I'm just letting you know, like, I don't play fair. So just as an like, if there's a agency owner that's like walking with a limp, I did it. I have no problem. I'll admit it ahead of time. If they tell you I did it, then I'm glad they have 2 kneecaps that I did, just for the second reminder.
I don't think I can find any other agency owner like you.
See, the thing is that the best part is like the other agency owners. The interesting thing for me in the agency space is that I'm the best at what I do. Like, if you talk about Olympic sport and you talk about winning at a high level, you could say whatever you want. I consider myself the young guy because all of my mentors are 70s and 80s.
Okay.
And I'm a baby, but I'm 20 years in. This is my 23rd year. I started before I left high school. Like, I started before I was ready. My experience was very risky because I started at the top. I had no business being at the level that I was when I first started. That happened purely out of trust and luck. I think God puts you in those reasons, and your job is to like take advantage of it because His plan is better than yours. And all I've done is try to figure out a way to make the best people in the world seen. One of our goals, Kane and I, is to have the hidden gems of the world be recognized for what they do best, so that you could show up and do what you do best, and we could do what we do best, so that the world recognizes you as being the best.
I love that. I love that.
And what I do, which is very different than a lot of other agency owners, is that we look at a competitive advantage. We look at it like game theory. We understand how to win. We understand how to reverse engineer a championship level of performance. And that is about a clear story. That is about understanding like your business model, and that's understanding your competitive edge. Closing those gaps between where you are and where you want to be. And if anybody's in your way, how do you navigate that path? And it just may be a business owner. It may just be a personal brand. But we're going to try to reverse engineer what does a championship performance look like for you. And you may want to win at the Olympic level, and this other kid may just want to be able to make their team. And I don't have an opinion on what the ambitions are, but my job is to make sure that your actions are aligned with your ambitions. That is my job.
Interesting. Okay. I got a question for you.
Sure.
Been wanting to ask you, how do you what's your perspective on the winning mindset? And then how do you apply that from a physical, athletic realm into a creative realm?
So,
like, what does winning look like in that space?
I think what's really important to understand is like, what does winning look like to you? You know, winning looks like a story that shows you progress. Winning looks like the sense of fulfillment that I did my best.
Okay.
The worst feeling that you could have is win, knowing that you didn't do your best because you won't work hard enough the next time.
Okay.
Because if you win when you're not at your best, the stakes aren't high enough. If you win and you didn't have to do like your best, then you're in the wrong arena.
Because you need to be pushed to your limits.
Every man wants to find their limit, and you never know where it is until you find it. Okay. You never know where your limit is until you lose.
Interesting. I got to interject there. How do you do that without creeping into like burnout territory?
Burnout is directly associated with the individual's passion and purpose. So I look at like from a mindset in a spiritual standpoint, there's three things, the 3 P's that you need to have, right? Number one is like you need to have passion, things that wake you up every day and get you going. You need to have purpose, the deeper why to what you're doing, which is how do you keep going even though that you ran out of gas? How do you keep running when you're tired? How do you get up even though you don't want to? How do you do the work even though that this is exhausting? It's because it's the commitment that you made to yourself to become the best at which you can be. Whether that's for yourself, for your family, for your job, whatever it is that brings that pride to you so you show up, that's what matters. And then principles, because in business, if you look at game theory, the person that cheats or the one that gets the competitive advantage, the person that cuts corners is going to get there faster. But you're going to get to the top, but you're not going to be able to stay there. So principles are making sure that you win, but win the right way.
With integrity.
Because the integrity line in sport is very clear. I could see it. If I step out of bounds or if I'm in bounds, everybody knows what it is. If you put your foot on the 3-point line, it counts for 2. It's very clear.
Because it's physical.
But in business, it's not. In business, that integrity line is at a spiritual level. It's your choice.
Okay.
You could screw me over and you think you did right because you're just trying to make a buck. But to me, I'm like, why would you do that to me? I thought we were friends, but it's business, so it's competitive. And I'm like, wait a second, I don't want to interact with people like that. But when you interact with your competition, they don't care about you. So the integrity line is by choice of who you interact with. So the integrity line in sport is very clear. What are the rules of the game? What is the environment? What is the standards? What's the expectations?
Interesting. So you can't really hide in sports, but in business, it's easier to hide.
I wouldn't say it's easier to hide. It's easier to hide your integrity in business because you could show up and look a certain way, but you could act a different way. Our business has been able to work with, for over 11 years, 1,500 small businesses. We've been able to kind of lift up the hood and see what's actually the nuts and bolts of the business.
Right.
And normally they're a mess.
Yeah.
And we're fixing them and we're kind of helping them grow. Most people are like, I tell everybody, like, I'm 6'3", I have a full set of hair on, I have a 6-pack, right? And everyone's like, oh my God, you're amazing, you know? But it's so clear, like when you see it. The thing is that your personal brand, the effort of what you put out there, what's on social media, is whatever you want it to, whatever you want it to be. And in reality, there's not a lot of like depth behind that. So, you know, I think about it as environment always wins. It's all about the people that you bring around you. So one of the things that I admire about you is that your strong desire to live by faith. And you have a strong interest of committing yourself to your faith and align it within your family. My business partner Kane has 2 daughters. I have a son. We both have wives that work really hard. I owe it to them to do my best in the work that I do. You have kids, you have a wife that works, she's smarter than you, like she's better than you, she's
Prettier.
better than you, like you, yeah. I mean, not that hard. Although you're a sexy dude, but you have all of these, amazing people and, as your partner in life. Like, don't you owe it to them to do your best?
Yeah.
And all I care about is how do I do that with other people that matter? And I think that's kind of really cool to me. And for me, it's a little bit easier to work with people that maybe have the same values and beliefs, because we can move faster together. But it allows me to remove stress. I have a very unique superpower of removing drama in my life. Like, if there's drama, you could just cut it out. It's really difficult, I think, when you run a business to cut it out right away, because it means you have to cut out people. But you do have to set a standard. I think the easiest way to do that is you start attracting the right people by the way that you're living and operating.
Yeah. That's interesting. I'm realizing this about performance and pressure, high pressure environments. So the arena is good because you can't hide. You can pretend to be a good designer. You can take your time, designing something nice, because usually the output for design is the finished product.
Yeah. But nobody sees how
no one sees exactly. And so to see designers perform under a time constraint, you cannot hide. And I think there's something about the authenticity and being real that I love, because you can trust it, right?
Well, you can see it and it's transparent. The other thing is the business model changed. The business model went from time and materials to you're trading, time for dollars, to what's your output? What's the result? What's the value that you could contribute? Because normally the person that knows how to do things faster is because they've spent more time doing it.
Right.
And I could identify a problem. I put my hand on you today and you're like, oh my God, my shoulder's killing me. I'm like, yeah, my job is to see a body and know exactly where the problem is, because that's my job. So to me, that's easy. And you kind of like, what are you doing? But I'm sure you probably even had a physical therapist that doesn't do that. And they couldn't find it. You got to understand, that's what I do. So, and because of that, I take that same attitude of exactly seeing the problem, feeling the problem, identifying where the root of it is and trying to fix it with the work that I do in the agency. The difference is that I don't have an ego in the agency, because I might be one of the best coaches in the world of what I do, but I'm definitely not one of the best agency owners in what I do. Put me on the list of best agency owners. Go through the phone book. I'm not going to be in the top. Do we have a successful company? Absolutely. But because of that, I become unemotional about the product, and I care more about the people that we work with and who we're trying to serve and the missions behind that stuff. And things are really powerful. What is their mission? What is their vision? What is their purpose? What are the things that drive them?
I love that. That's a long-term game too.
Yeah. You want to play long-term games with long-term people. Because there's a lot easier ways to make money. You could sell widgets, you could sell products. I just don't think that it's as enjoyable. So, and that's the way I look at it. And I think that putting people like Ryan in your world, putting other people in my space around the right people, that's why I wanted you to come out here. You're going to Tokyo for another presentation right after this, which is really cool. You wouldn't be invited into that environment if it weren't for the skills that you had and probably the way that you show up. You're here to be part of some of the best creators in Asia, and I wanted to bring some of the people that I know and here, and I think it's really exciting.
Yeah.
So I think part of it is, how do I share, kind of my vision with bringing the people with faith that nobody knows around, and let that be loud, because that's the integrity of the work that we're trying to do.
Amazing. Well, I look forward to highlight some Filipino talent in the arena, put that on the map. That's going to be great.
Yeah, and I'm pumped. I mean, the way I look at it is we're a global company, and we travel around the world. We work with everybody. At the end of the day, it's not about who's in your backyard. It's how can you affect the businesses that are in your backyard. There's community leaders. The way I look at it is, if you ever play, your kids are in sports, or they have like Pede Plumbing in the back of their jersey, and then because that plumber donated, a few bucks to the local, soccer team, and it's that small business is, literally how that person put their kid to college, and they're doing their job. And it's the more we could highlight them, the better it is.
Right.
And I think that's what it's about. So I appreciate you being here. I'm pumped for you to pour into our team. And yeah, thanks for showing up, man.
Thanks for the opportunity.
I think it's going to crush. We'll see what the next March Madness of the design looks like. I want to see Call of Duty shit talking.
All right.
For design. That's
I
what
welcome
wanna
it.
see.
Bring
And
it.
like, here's a fun fact about sports. The people that talk the most shit before the sport suck at the sport. The people that talk about the most shit during the sport are the best at the sport.
Oh, okay.
Like in football and in fighting, and like I'll talk mad crap while I'm playing. I don't talk anything before. But in basketball, I'll dunk on Kane. He will quit. He will take his shoes, probably LeBron's, because that's his like friend. I will take his shoes and I will tie the laces up and throw them up on electrical wire, then retire him because I'm going to dunk on him so bad.
I love it.
And guys, I'm going to talk crap because I can't play basketball. But while we're on that court, I'm going to be quiet because I'm about to get slammed. You know what I mean? So you just got to know where you are. But I want to see designers because they're fun. I would like to see them actually intellectually inject their personality into that a little bit.
Yeah. It'll be fun.
Think it happen?
It'll be good. Yeah, let's do it.
I think we could do it with our team. I think our team could talk some smack. Should be fun.
More chatter, the better. More engagement.
We can do it in Tagalog.
Good for them.
For sure. Absolutely. All right, man. I appreciate you. Thanks so much,
you.
man.
Appreciate it.
You're doing what you're doing.
Awesome.